You know, I really hesitated to make this episode about AI because I was scared of saying something, some sort of stupid prediction, and then like 10 years from now, or more likely 10 days from now, it wouldn't age well and I'd look like an idiot and people would clip it and embarrass me for the rest of my life. In fact, a couple of years ago, people were emailing me asking me to do an episode on NFTs and Web3 and blockchain and all that stuff and how it was infiltrating the music industry. And I kind of was like researching it quite a lot. I didn't fully understand it, but I just hesitated because I wasn't sure if it was going to stick around. I thought, let me just wait a year or so to see if NFTs are still around. And well, I feel good about that decision. I want to talk about AI today and how I think it might affect the music industry. Some of the things I like about it, some of the things I really don't like about AI in the music space, and then how we might have an off-ramp as humans, perhaps some sort of interesting advantage that we have over our AI overlords. By the way, AI overlords, if you're watching this video in the future, please don't hurt me. Here's what I really don't like about AI right now. A couple things. First of all, I don't like how companies feel the need to embed AI or AI technology or AI powered into everything, every product, every service, every marketing message. It just seems to be like the tech equivalent of gourmet or artisan. We're just hearing it everywhere. It's just a buzzword and nobody asked for it. And it's relentless and it's unnecessary. In fact, I just heard recently that Logic Pro incorporated ChatGPT into the notes section of their DAW. I saw a demo of it. It just seemed like who asked for it. But again, AI, ChatGPT, everyone's looking for that integration, or perhaps they think we're looking for it. I also am really turned off by the companies and the apps that are creating an entire song from scratch. I find that to be a little weird. Again, I reserve the right to change my mind. Maybe down the road, I'll use an app like Suno to make a whole album, make tons of money, and I won't have to pick up my guitar or play a note. I mean, that's depressing, but maybe that'll be the case. Anyway, today I feel kind of weird about that, where you can write a prompt to describe the genre and the tempo and the key and what the song's about, or ingest it lyrics, or you can talk about the dynamics of the song, how long you want it to be, and then it spits out this song that's like pretty darn close to what you asked for. And then there's plugins like Waves just released a new plugin where it's not the entire song, but if you wanted, say, like a 808 beat at 69 BPM that is like warbled, busted up cassette tape sounding, they can spit that out for you. Or if you want like a synth pad that's very cinematic and spacey in the key of F sharp minor, you know, they can spit that out for you. Is that like overly different than like some of the presets we have on synths or some of the plugins we have today? Maybe not. I also don't love when AI is actually replacing just the idea of the artist, not necessarily just the creation process, but how some people are like making AI artists and creating new names and press photos and bios about these people that don't exist, and then attaching them to the music that's been created by AI. Again, I could change my opinion, and I respect the people who are exploring that area. I've talked to some people. It is very interesting. I haven't fully formed my opinion about it, but I do feel somewhat uncomfortable with it. And look, I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man, because we have used technology in the music business and in music recording and music creation for so many years, going all the way back to multi-track recording, overdubbing, auto-tune, quantizing, MIDI, sequencers, microphone emulations, or hardware emulations, or impulse reverbs. But I think these are all tools that really can't do anything without the artist using them. Whereas I sometimes fear like AI wants to be both the hammer and the hand that holds it. Okay, but here's what I do like about AI in the music space. I know a lot of people have been using ChatGPT to help them with some of the kind of harder administrative tasks, whether that's like grant writing or bio writing, or maybe collecting their thoughts, brain dumping some things for a press sheet or for a pitch email, helping them to be more organized, look more professional, improve their grammar. That's great. I do that too. I'm excited about AI plugins that get us closer to the sound that we want. I've been recording acoustic guitar for like 20 years. Well, going all the way back to cassette, I've been trying to record acoustic guitar forever. And I feel like I can never get it to sound the way an acoustic guitar sounds on my lap when my head is above the guitar. I just can never get that into my DAW. And I've been trying for years. Maybe I can get really, really close, and then AI can help me just get to the next level. Like just get over that hump. Maybe AI can be used to, I already know that pressing plants are using it to review test pressings ahead of sending them out. So it can scan the audio file and say, hey, there's a little error here that we maybe wouldn't hear. So there's some really interesting things there. Same with mastering. Speaking of making music and releasing music, a huge shout out to our friends at Lander. Lander is a digital distributor. They're known as being one of the most reputable official partners of Spotify, digital distributors for getting your music from your laptop to streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon and Tidal. But they do so much more than that. They have so many plugins, like we've been talking about, mastering tools that are super incredible, a whole suite of tools and promotional stuff. It's basically this entire hub for independent artists and independent record labels to get their music from the studio to their fans' ears. So check out Lander. You can get 20% off if you use the coupon link in the description of this episode, or just go to otherrecordlabels.com/Lander, or there's a QR code here that you can scan. I'm also kind of intrigued by the concept of like AI curation. Like I have an Apple Music app that I've been using on my computer that I've transferred all of my RIP CDs from the past like 25 years to all of the Apple Music albums I've downloaded since I've been a subscriber for the past 10 years. So basically I have thousands of albums and tens of thousands of songs on my Apple Music. Wouldn't it be interesting if like AI could look at all that and be like, here's an album that you don't have in your library that based on what we see, you probably will like. Maybe they could do that by genre. Like if I have 40 or 50 jazz albums in my Apple Music library, could it look at those albums and then ascertain what it is I like about this type of jazz music and say, here's 5 albums you are most definitely going to like. It could even go so far as like knowing my age and knowing that some of these albums, okay, here's the big thing. This is why I'm optimistic about AI in the music industry. Or at least I'm not super cynical, super pessimistic. There's a little off-ramp or a little advantage that I think humans have when it comes to AI, music creation specifically. And that is that we are irrational. We do things as humans that just don't make sense. In fact, one could admit that all art is somewhat irrational and doesn't make any sense. Like a part of me wonders if the pendulum is going to swing so much to the point where like human intelligence becomes the new buzzword, the new thing that people are trying to embed into everything. I feel like we as humans are rebellious. And so when we're fed AI and we're given all of this like artificial stuff, we are probably going to rebel. Even if it is more convenient, more efficient, more affordable, I still feel like we have this tendency to do the opposite, to do the irrational thing. For example, remember when ebooks came along, like the idea that you could have an e-reader and you could get access to every book ever written and you could do away with your bookshelves and we could get rid of bookstores and we wouldn't have paperbacks or hardcovers anymore. And there was this fear that there wouldn't be those things anymore because of the e-reader. Well, that never happened. I still love to buy a book and hold a book in my hand in a hammock and smell the paper. I still like having bookshelves with all of my books. What about vinyl? After streaming, there was no logical sense in having physical media anymore. We have all of recorded music history on our phones instantly for $9.99 a month. That's a bit of a problem. We'll talk about that another day. And yet, in that era, vinyl has become more popular than ever before. It's inconvenient, it's unreliable, it's more limiting, it's more expensive, it's more cumbersome. And yet, I would cancel my Spotify membership in a heartbeat before I got rid of any of the records in my collection. Why? Because humans are irrational. We do things that just do not make any sense at all. We don't always choose what's easiest or what's most convenient. We are rebellious and irrational. And that's what gives me hope for what's going to happen in AI in the music space, specifically in the creative space. It's that rebellion that has kept the album alive. When streaming came out, when digital downloads came out, people said the album's dead. Nobody listens to albums anymore. And yet we're buying more albums than they did in the 70s and 80s on vinyl and on CD still and on cassette. You can give me every song in recorded history for $9.99 a month on my phone, or I can opt for one album for $49.99 on vinyl. I just think we're passionately irrational in so many ways. I think AI will be able to make music that sounds exactly like the way that humans make it. AI is progressing incredibly fast. I think they'll be able to make a song that sounds like the Beatles recorded it at Abbey Road on incredible EMI technology. I think they'll be able to make a new Motown song that sounds like it came from the Motown era. And you know what? As a creative in this space, it scares me from a career perspective, from an artist perspective, from a financial perspective. I think that is kind of daunting. But I do have this powerful faith in humanity to rebel. Speaking of books, there's a Canadian author I had on the podcast. His name is David Sachs. We had him many, many years ago. He wrote a book called The Revenge of Analog. And this is actually now a 10-year-old book, but it's more relevant today than it was even 10 years ago. It was the observation that back then and still now, there were these analog things that were becoming popular again. Things like moleskin notebooks and Polaroid cameras and vinyl records, despite the fact that we had a digital version for all of those things that was more affordable, more efficient, more convenient. And yet there was a rise in popularity of things like Polaroid cameras and vinyl records. And it's still true today. It's almost like the popularity of the digital counterparts kept pushing the desire for us to go back to those analog versions. Do we like the tactile nature of records and Polaroid pictures? Is it easier for us to comprehend something that we put on a turntable or a picture we can hold in our hands and hang on the wall as opposed to the 10,000 unsorted photos on our camera roll? Yeah, I think that's true. Is it possible we're just rebellious and we don't want to be told what to do? And that sometimes the irrational thing is more fun? I could be so wrong in this whole episode. I mean, I could be wrong in like 3 days from now. I could be proven wrong. I'm cool with that. Whatever. I mean, honestly, I have all of the music in the world on my phone, and yet I get up every 15 minutes to flip the record and drop the needle. And I wouldn't have it any other way. There was a study in 2023 where a group of researchers led a psychological experiment involving AI art, paintings, as well as AI music. Participants of this study were shown two different paintings. They were told that one was created by a human and the other by AI. In the same way, they listened to two pieces of music, one that was created by a human and one they were told was created by AI. In reality, though, both pieces of artwork were created by AI, and both pieces of music were created by AI. The researchers just randomly labeled one as created by AI and one as created by humans. Still, the participants showed an overwhelming bias towards the art created by humans, or the art they thought was made by humans. No matter which one was actually made by a human or made by AI, people preferred the artwork that was labeled as human. They thought it was more creative, and when they listened to music by what they thought was humans, they thought it was more awe-inspiring. Okay, maybe I'm too optimistic about all of this. Maybe this is a bigger tidal wave than we've ever experienced. I'll accept that. I understand that's a likely possibility. Or maybe there is a place for optimism in how AI will affect music, or how it maybe won't affect music as much as we think. I mean, maybe there's a future where AI helps people appreciate human artists more than they do now. Maybe. Thanks to our friends at Lander for sponsoring today's episode. Go to otherrecordlabels.com/Lander to learn more, and thanks for watching.